Wicked, cool. So today's guest number 3 on PodJack95, Magic Man, hidden behind the cards, something to show straight away. Just before we go into this, though, I'm just going to mention that anything that does happen throughout this, it's not been set up. Like, I don't really know what's going to happen. Okay, so begin with this opener.
Right, I've chosen 5 cards at random, and I want you to mentally select just one of them. You've got an unrestricted choice, and you must not think I'm trying to influence you in any way. Right, here is an ace occupying a central slot. You might think of it, but again, you might not. Perhaps you think I had a motive in placing just one black card amongst the 5. This might influence your choice, or again, it might not. Anyway, look over the 5 cards carefully, as long as you want. But rest assured, whatever card you definitely decide upon, I shall take out the pack and show you at the end. So, have you thought of a card?
Yeah.
You can change your mind if you want to. You've mentally selected one, yeah?
Mentally selected.
Okay. So, I've pulled out the one card then. Can you name the card?
9 of diamonds.
Yeah, now I thought you'd go for that. But that's what I selected. So this is just proof that magic doesn't always work. Mm-hmm. But to some of you who was just watching then, I guarantee you'd have picked the 4 of hearts.
Yeah, it's good opener.
So, yeah, okay, it didn't work on you, but this is what it's all about. Magic doesn't always go right all the time.
Yeah, I thought you might have picked a 9. Lucky number 9.
Well, yeah, and this is why I was thinking about changing that 9 for something else, knowing it was you, because you obviously like 9s.
Yeah.
Because of the 9s to do with your birthdays and what have you.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, I didn't even mention, but I think I know your name. What is your name?
As in?
Your real name?
Gary.
Gary. It's Gary Cross on PodJack. Gary Cross. It's good.
The father of the other guy on the other screen.
Yeah, I know. 2 bald
with
heads.
The same bloody haircut.
I know. I had to copy. So yeah, we're on the podcast. We're going to talk about magic. Going to talk about how you started your magic, what things have happened to obviously get you to where you are, maybe where you're going to go as well. There's been loads of things from when I've seen you do magic that I've thought you probably should have. Well, every single person that I know thinks you should be a so-called magician, should be in a club, something like that. And probably every single one of us that's seen you do a trick will always say that. And you're going to tell us why maybe you haven't gone to that stage, or whether you're going to, and stuff like that. So if you begin with how it all started, how did it start?
Well, does anybody mind me smoking to start with?
No, it's just us 2. I don't mind. As long as you don't blow in my face. You could do a magic trick with it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it all started for me a long, long time ago. I mean, we're talking probably the biggest change that happened was probably about 27 years ago, way before you were born.
Yeah, way before I was born.
And I was out one night. This is the change that happened for me. So changes happen in everybody's life, and they change for the good, for the worse, for whatever. This particular thing happened to me. I was out in my car with my mate. I was 17, 18. And he had this girlfriend or what have you, and we drive to his girlfriend's, pick her up, she'd get in the back, and I'd drive around. Well, this one night she had a friend with her, and I heard this because I had the window down. Right, they were having a talk about me. She was like, "Oh, I'm going to get in the back. Do you mind getting in the front? You know, for an hour or what have you?" And I always remember hearing this girl. She was like, "I ain't getting in front of that car with that ginger knob." And I was like, What? Okay, don't worry about it. You know, I had big, long ginger hair sticking out my hat and what have you.
Ron
I was
Weasley.
a bit of a rogue or what have you. Anyway, she gets in the front of the car and we drive around like my mate's in the back with his girlfriend. We didn't really say a lot. Lo and behold, that turns out to be your mum.
Oh, no.
You know, so all that
She probably
time,
still says that.
no, she don't. She can't get enough of me now, mate. I don't know what it is. Well, I'll tell you what it was the killer day. It was only a couple of days after. I'll take her out. You know, I'd heard this girl. You know, she'd come from a decent family, lived in a nice area, nice house. You know, nice family. You know, more than what I sort of was, my background and what have you. I thought, yeah, fancy coming out for a bite to eat. You know, smooth guy, what have you? Yeah. Where are we going? I took her up Granada Services for a sandwich. I mean, I think that was it.
Yeah.
That sealed the deal.
That's a nice place to go.
Well, anyway, I obviously met your mum or what have you. And that turned my life around anyway. Because from then, obviously, I managed to meet her parents, Dave and Maggie Pegg. And I owe so much to those people for doing what they've done for me in sort of turning my life around without going into too much background.
A couple of people that would have watched will know who they are after my last one with Harry. So,
well, yeah, exactly, yeah. So, cut a long story short, we used to get together at Christmas and do a fancy dress party, Boxing Day, maybe Christmas Day or New Year, whichever one it fell on. And the one year, this was maybe a couple of years after I'd met Maggie and Dave, was entertainment. That was the theme of the night.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know, I wasn't into magic then, although I don't think I wasn't into it and I weren't performing.
Yeah, you didn't feel like it was a...
But I had been told, just sort of tracking off that a little bit, my sister did tell me that when I was younger, I had a magic set and I raved on about it.
Yeah.
When she told me about it, I vaguely remembered having this Paul Daniels set, and he used to do this one particular trick, and sort of, you know, be the showman, because when I was younger, you know, just show off and do.
Did you ever watch was magic on the telly when you was younger?
Yeah, we used to
mention Paul Daniels.
Well, Paul Daniels was probably the biggest one on the TV at the time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I used to like watching Paul Daniels. I think he used to have a show on a Saturday night. I vaguely remember it being, I don't know if it was specifically just a magic show or whether they come on sort of at interval and done magic, and it was a bit of a game show kind of thing. But I always remember watching that.
Was that bit of Yeah, Tommy Cooper as well. You did watch, was it? Tommy?
Yeah, I love Tommy Cooper. Oh my God, he's one of my heroes. I mean, I think you either love him or hate him because he's that silly.
Was he a bit? Yeah, he's a bit of a crazy guy from what I can remember.
I've got some of his books. I've got some of his videos. I could just watch them constantly. But if I show them to other people, they're like, either they don't get it or like, he's just stupid. Like, he's not funny, but he is. But then that's my mentality.
Yeah, sure.
Your mum says, I will laugh at anything. And I do. Because I just find even the most
funny.
Well, yeah. You know, because that's just the kind of person I am. I love laughing.
That's
best medicine you can have.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't cost anything. Laugh a bit, makes you happy, makes
it.
others happy, seeing you laughing at whatever. But anyway, just going back to that, we had this fancy dress. I went as a wizard. You know, not the most sort of appropriate thing to be going magically as, but I thought I'll get myself a wizard cape, proper wizard.
Yeah.
Learned myself a couple of tricks. You know, we had a few people there, a few bit of family, a few friends, what have you. And I stood up, and this was another thing for me, only knowing sort of Dave and Maggie there, and obviously your mum and what have you, and you were only little, you were Buzz Lightyear that night.
Oh, okay.
And not knowing some of these people, it was a confidence thing to me.
Yeah, of course.
But I stood up, I did it. I mean, they were probably not the greatest tricks ever. Yeah. But it was just something I could quickly learn. I built a couple of props up, and it went down a storm.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
people,
that reactions. Yeah.
and I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. I like that. I
Yeah,
enjoy
you like the feeling of people's.
Well, I like to sort of perform, not just magic, just perform anyway.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
whether it's
Acting
just
or something silly.
talking or
Yeah, yeah.
So that's me all over. And when I done that, I thought, not only for me, but for other people to see and to see their faces light up.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and enjoy what they were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. And I thought, okay, maybe I ought to do a little bit more, learn a little bit more. And obviously over the years, and we are talking years now because it's probably been about 17, 18 years since I first done the wizard.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, people didn't take too kindly when I was walking around town dressed as a wizard, trying to perform a card trick. They thought I was quite crazy, but so I sort of ditched that idea straight away.
Did you ever do a trick to someone in the town or someone random like that? Have you ever?
Yeah, but not dressed as the wizard.
Not dressed as a wizard.
No, I think I hired that costume actually from some costume place over in Lichfield, so I had to take it back. No, I used to go downtown when I used to work for myself. And when we'd finish early, perks of the job, like, you know, finish early. Me and my brother used to go downtown. We'd have a pint or whatever in the pub in the town centre. And I used to, because I sort of introduced him to magic and tried to get him to do a few things, which he did. But he didn't feel as passionate as what I did about it. I mean, passion for magic.
Yeah, because you would have obviously throughout the time that I've known you to do it as well. You've taught me, you've taught like a couple of my friends, you've taught Charlie, and like we've done it and we've gone through stages of like I used to go there and do it to friends, and it's great, but I never like picked up as much as it has for you.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well, like I say, I used to go downtown, a couple of drinks. I mean, the pub's probably the best place because, you know, someone's had a bit of a drink and, you know, they're not sort of completely... easier to manipulate and misdirect or what have you. And the reactions I used to get, it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And you'd get dragged you'd show somebody something, just, you know, you know, pick a card or what have you, because that's all it was at first. Pick a card, reveal it in a bizarre way or what have you, and they'd be like, oh my God, you've got to come and show such and such that. So, like, you'd get dragged, like, somewhere else to go and show it to somebody else. Yeah, and they'd be like, oh. I soon learned that not to ever do that. Yeah. Because, again, through learning through all the books that I've ever read and all the DVDs I've got and you know, and listening to professional people do this, you know, it's a case of you do something once and don't repeat it, because there'll be somebody there that wants to try and figure out how to do it.
Try and catch you out.
Yeah, and obviously me being the novice back then and you're doing something else, you know, somebody would always say, oh, well, you know, I've seen how you've done it the second time round. Okay. And then your confidence, you get a bit of a knock. Yeah. And for me, probably back then, it was dealing with rejection. Yeah. Because I was only doing it for fun and laughter. I weren't claiming to be any kind of professional magician. I weren't getting paid for it. I was just walking into the pub. You know, I'd say to the guy behind the bar, do you mind if I do a couple of tricks or what have you to people? Oh, yeah, you carry on, mate. Yeah. And just show a few people. But unfortunately, there are people out there that only want to try and pick out and
knock you down.
But it's a learning thing, which is absolutely fine, because had I not bumped into them people, I wouldn't have tried.
You wouldn't have felt
another approach.
Yeah,
and I suppose like you know, like I say, you used to go out when you was younger. I used to wire up your jacket with that thing, you know, and perform vanishes or what have you. Yeah, and you you must know that the feeling and to entertain your friends in such a way you can't sort of, you can't imagine what that feeling's like until you
unless you've had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when other people start doing it as well, because obviously then, when I started doing it, other people, like my other friends, would also then get their own decks, and it become like a bit of a group thing, and they'd come to another trick, and it's like it's like you started this thing that's happening, you're like, whoa, that's good. And then when you see other people doing it, the things that you've done, but like another way, you feel like you taught them.
Yeah,
the
just
start. And now you're
basic.
seeing them grow as doing even more things, and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about for me, is not necessarily just taking someone's trick, because obviously, you know, magic's been around for years, hundreds and hundreds of years, and most of the tricks, they all stem from a couple of different tricks, if you like, and people just evolve these
build
tricks
on them.
Yeah, you know, because the principles are the same. It's just how you present the thing to people. So that's what I always sort of, after the years had gone by, I mean, in the early years, I must have I brought head twisting machines, arm chopping machines, you know, and you read that, again, being a novice and being sort of naive about reading the description of this trick. Oh, you know, you read
how
this thing.
How fun and good it sounds.
Oh, you'll be able to perform this trick within minutes. You'll be able to perform a miracle, and you're thinking, that is what I want to be doing. A miracle. All right, okay, I'll buy that. You get it back out, you get it, or whatever, it turns up, you buy it. It's like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to do that bloody thing? You know, some of them take a lot of years of skill and practice in doing these particular things. And I'd spent a long time practicing one particular move, trying to get this thing right. And again, I was never particularly great at performing these particular sleights of hand. I mean, I take my hat off to any of these guys that I've ever seen or whatever that can do all these
shufflings and
I mean, you know, it takes years of practice or hours and hours of practice to get them absolutely spot on. So I've got this really good book that I read, and it's quite a popular book, and it's called, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, Expert Card Technique. This is one of the later books that I brought. Obviously, I brought some ones. But if you just read the back, some of the back section, it tells you about, there's a couple of different types of magician. You've got the one guy who is just a born entertainer. And he could entertain you with just a piece of toilet roll. You know, he's amazing. And I know a guy like that. I work with a guy like that. He can talk all day long. He's so funny. The things that come out of his mouth, it's like, where do you store all of that? It's just there, which is good, because I like hanging around people like that, because it sort of, it opens your mind a bit as well. So, you know, although you're not going to take the tales that he's telling because they don't relate to you and you can't tell a tale about what's happened to someone else, but you can sort of,
the way he tells it maybe and stuff like that.
and bring that into your own sort of character that you are when you're performing. And then you got the other type of guy, which is the master of all moves. Doesn't say a lot, can't make you laugh, but my God, his hands, when he's doing these sleights and moves and flourishes and shuffles, and it's like, you're just mesmerised by what you're seeing.
So that's all you want to look at, isn't it? What he's doing. So you've got to concentrate on how he's talking, or his entertainment.
Well, so he doesn't talk a lot, so he lets all these hands do the talking, if you like. Now, I ain't neither of them, unfortunately. I can talk, I can have a laugh, I can do a couple of basic moves. But the last category, which is probably the most common one, according to this book, is the guy that can make people laugh a little bit, do a little bit of sleight of hand, but he practices some basic card techniques. Well, I'm on about basic here, and you use misdirection to cover what you're doing, to equally perform to people and get the same reaction as the guy with the talking and
the
dramatising, and then the guy with all the shuffles or what have you. So for me, again, it's only later on in life, like I'm jumping ahead now by years and years and years, probably over the last sort of 4 or 5 years now for me. It's a case of when I see, or when I perform, and the audience I'm performing to is probably, it's never magicians.
No.
So it's just normal people, what we call laymen. So these are people that don't really have much idea about magic or sleight of hand or the principles of misdirection or what have you. So I like to relate to them people. So if I'm doing a card trick, I like to, if I'm shuffling, I just like to make it shuffle like the person that I'm entertaining, how they would shuffle. And again, with selecting a card or anything like that, I like to make it as simple as possible so the audience can relate.
They understand what you're doing as well then.
Yeah, so it's easy. I show a lot of people other people's tricks and what have you, you know, like I'll show your mum, I'll say, oh, you know, what about this guy? Yeah. And when he does that fancy flourishing move or what have you, and she'll go, oh, wow, that was a good card trick. And I say, well, so when did you think that happened then? Oh, well, when he done that fancy move. And that's what people sort of generally think, oh, he done that fancy move as good as what it was amazing. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. But that's when the magic happened. So it sort of takes away, because the mind works that when you see something like a card trick or you know, a vanish or whatever, people will, in their own mind, retrace the steps of what's just happened. So they'll retrace it. Ah, right, okay, you know, when that fancy what's it move happened, that must have been when the magic happened. So it almost takes away all the hard work that you've done. So again, for me, it's just a case of overhand shuffle, you know, oh yeah, that's what the guy does. I'm doing it, and then just the tiniest little bit of misdirection is when my magic happens. And then the reaction that I get then from them people is like, oh my God, because I didn't even see what you did.
Is that like trying to hope so that they can remember almost everything that you've done, but still not figure out how it was done? So they can trace every single step, but still not even.
Yeah, you know, he gave me the deck of cards and I shuffled them. You know, he shuffled them the same way as what I did. You know, there was nothing, and that's what I can't understand. That's what people, and it's probably like you say, I show people tricks. You know, I've got the confidence now, to sort of just show people the tricks that I know and I know well. So we had a Christmas party for work just gone, and it was like a big do in a hotel. You had your tables, what have you. We had a sit-down meal, bit of a disco. And of course, because over the months that I've been working where I've been working, I like to go to work and show people my tricks as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like on my lunch breaks and what have you. Never do it in work time. Never do it in work time.
No.
It's unprofessional. It's unprofessional. So, of course, you get to this works do, and everybody brings their partners. And I'm sitting at the table, dinner's finished, the disco's just starting and what have you, and someone pipes up, Gaz, you brought your cards with you? Like, and I'm like, I had, but I was sort of like, okay, I don't know some of these people or what have you, but I was like, yeah, of course I always bring these cards with me. And the one kid, he was like, oh, I know a good trick. And I thought, oh, this is great. I give him the cards. I was like, go on then, you show us your trick or what have you. And he done this trick, you know, it was all right. Yeah, it was pretty good, you know, and to the audience that he was showing it to, because they didn't know anything about it, you know, he got a good reaction. I was like, oh, that's good. Okay, now it's my time to shine. Give me a card. I'll show you a card trick. And I was probably there for 2 hours. You know, people were like, oh, more, show me more. Going around the table, doing all this. And the more you do it, the more confident you get. Like I say, I get myself about 4 or 5 tricks I know I can really perform well.
Yeah,
And what I do, without trying to give too much away, we have tricks. They come in sort of different sort of departments, if you like. And there's one section, it's called self-working tricks. And basically, they work on their own without you having to do any fancy shuffles or flourishes or anything like that. It can all happen in your hands, in the spectator's hands. And they're called self-working because they self-work. Nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
And that's how when I'm out somewhere like that, that's how I always start. Because like I say, you come back to the thing of somebody wants to pick, I know, yeah, spotted that, seen how you did that. And they want to tell you. So I'll start with one of them. They're foolproof.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you do that, you've got the audience, they're like, wow, how on earth? Because nothing happened. Or, you know, and everybody relaxes.
Yeah.
Everybody relaxes. I relax. Now I can go into something a little bit more devious, you know, maybe cheating a little bit.
Like you feel like when you're relaxed, you're a lot better.
Oh, yeah. And then once you've gauged your audience, you can pick on certain people. Yeah, so if you get somebody that's quite interested, because again, you know, not everybody wants to see magic. Not everybody appreciates what you do. So you try and stay away from that because you're only invading their space and you don't want to force.
You don't want to put it on to them.
Yeah, you know, because they might not like it. Fair enough. That's absolutely fine. So the people that are attracted to, you know, they'll come and sit next to you and they'll want to pick a card or what have you. So you just concentrate more on them and then you can get to sort of figure out how to misdirect these people. Again, there's certain techniques, you know, like, see that, what's it on your wall behind you? I don't know what that is standing up behind you. There you go. See, so I've just... Yeah, but while you turn your back and look at that, I'm misdirecting you into what I've just done, if you know what I mean. So it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Or it's a case of, yeah, do you want to shuffle the cards for me? So just give you know, and then you can do whatever, you know. So there's a couple of tips on how to misdirect people, if you like. But yeah, that's what I did at the Christmas party.
Do you ever find that like do you have a certain trick for a certain type of person? So, you know, like the big person that is like, thinks they know it all. Do you have a certain trick that you can go to them and do one and they'll be like, and then there's the other loud one that loves them, another trick for them. Do you ever pick people like that? And a certain trick for that person? Yeah,
well, again, it takes a couple of tricks for you to gauge your audience. So, yeah, the what, if you want to call them, like you've just said, I'll refer to them as what you've just said, the loud mouths.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, there's one or two that if they insist on getting involved, then I will perform a trick to them where I know it can't go wrong. I mean, we had that, just going back to Harry's podcast, where when he was younger and I went to their house. Yeah. So the said device, just 1 second.
Oh, yes. It's gone. So hopefully it won't be too long.
Said device that
it is.
Look at that piece.
An arm chopper.
So, yeah, basically, you put your carrot through the first hole, through the bottom, your arm in the main. Obviously, I can't plunge the knife down with the other hand because I'm holding the what's-it, but the idea is that you chop through
their arm,
everything and take their arm off. And some poor lad didn't want to get involved, did he?
No.
But yeah, that was because obviously he'd seen it all, been there, done it, and I don't know who it was, one of his relatives was a bit of a magician and he knew exactly how to do everything. So that's why I sort of picked on him to perform that particular trick. He weren't actually interested when it come to losing his arm.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are.
Probably your comment as well, saying you've only done it on one person.
Yeah.
That person lost their arm.
Still had his arm amputated. Yeah. So again, that's just the build-up of making it more exciting, if you like. You know, just saying something like that.
Yeah.
Like, done it to one person. Yeah, you know, how is he? Well, he ain't very well.
Yeah.
So, but you know, if you don't mind, I'll just try it on you, because practice makes perfect. You know, you don't mind losing a limb or what have you.
Yeah.
So you make a bit of a joke out of it. So some people take it serious, some people don't. But yeah, that's yeah. I don't like to make anybody feel small
or uncomfortable when you're doing it.
Yeah, because I'm not into any of that kind of thing.
No.
For me, it's mainly a bit of fun. Like I say, I'm not part of any kind of magic society. And again, there's been a reason for that. I've been all over the country watching magicians, going to places. I'm just going to have a look at where. So only sort of towards the end of last year, I went to the South Staffordshire Magical Society. They're over in Cannock.
Yeah.
And they had a close-up competition going on on the night time.
Yeah.
Now I weren't taking part in it. I was just going along just to watch. And this is the closest sort of magic society it's the closest one to me, Cannock. It's only sort of 6 or 7 miles down the road. So I went there, and I think because I was a new face, I took my boss with me, because he used to be into magic. He used to do it when he was younger himself. So I took him along with me. And for whatever reason, and this happened quite a lot, whenever I went to these magic gatherings or whatever, you know, shows that were going on, can we have a volunteer? And at first, when I first went, I was like, you know, when you look away.
Oh, yeah. If I look another way, they won't know.
Yeah, the guy there. See the guy there with the scruffy ginger hair?
The one looking away.
Shit, he must mean me. So it'd be like, and then when you look, he's still waiting, and then you look round and you go, yeah, you sir, and you're like,
oh no, this is not what I wanted.
So anyway, that's how it used to be.
You know, when you go to these places, you're saying like you went to your works party and you obviously had your pack of cards. When you go to watch someone performing magic or a gathering, do you still have your cards with you, just in case?
I do, but I'm going there more for my own pleasure.
Yeah,
wanting to perform. I love watching magic. I absolutely love it. I could sit and watch it all day long. You know, and if somebody asked me to take part, I'll probably get up and do something. But it's all about the watching. I love being entertained just as much as the people that I'm entertaining.
Yeah.
So I'd been to the South Staffordshire Magic Society. I didn't ask to perform there or anything. It was just a little competition. But like I say, they picked me out the audience. I must have been involved in about 4 or 5 tricks. Now, I mean, who wouldn't want to pick this? You know,
this because you had hair then, though.
Well, yeah, I had hair, no facial hair, hair on the head.
No, you wouldn't even get in now.
No, that's it. Don't let that thug in. Look at him; he's covered in tattoos. Got his head bloody shaved.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all, you know, I think it's because I was a new face.
Yeah, so they like to get the new people in.
I love getting up on stage and playing the part of a. I mean. See, little did they know until after the end of the whole of the performances that I was also a magician. So it was like even, okay. So you pretty much knew what was going on. Yeah, but look, I will play the part.
Yeah. You're not there to spoil the party.
I know what it's like to be spoiled, right? I will even make a big song and dance about it sometimes when I'm up there.
Yeah.
So from there, the South Staffordshire Magic Society, and I'm looking to possibly go back there because they were so welcoming when I'd gone there, and I spoke to a couple of the guys during the intervals, and told them, you know, what I do, and I was coming to try and look to possibly join or what have you. Oh my God, they were so welcoming, really friendly, and which I find most magicians are. They are fantastic because they've all been where
Yeah, that's it. They've all had the bad things
they're-
happen to them.
Yeah, and
just
they've
like-
all got a bit of stage fright and a bit of nerves, and a lot of
Yeah.
them say, I always get nervous before I go up there, because if something goes wrong, some of them, what do you do about it, but so they also pick the tricks that they know. You've got to practice, you've got to work hard, you've got to make sure that whatever it is you are doing, you've got it down to a T.
Yeah.
And that takes hard work and practice.
Will that bring more out in you, do you think, like knowing that other magicians feel the same?
Yeah.
Obviously, there would have been a point before now where you like going up on stage that you didn't ever want to do that. And,
I was scared about getting up on stage, let alone, this is just participating in a trick, let alone
performing,
doing something. So, but again,
having a magician tell you that it's quite scary and they are meant to be, they are the pros, then you can it's okay then to feel.
So that, exactly that. And so you come out your shell quite a bit more because, again, just going down a list of where I've been and who I've seen. So we got South Staffordshire Magic Society. That was only quite recently. Yeah. British Magical Society. This is probably the first place I went. Remember Frankie and Benny's in Tamworth?
Yeah.
Well, it's still there now.
Yeah.
We used to go there on a Sunday afternoon, probably for a drink or what have you. Or it was a nice day and we'd sit outside. And there was a guy in there called Alan Merrill. And he was the resident magician at Frankie and Benny's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you would have only been really, really small. And me and Mum were sat at the bar by the window, and he's come over. It was quite empty. He used to go and entertain people while they were waiting for their...
Yeah, I can kind of remember. I feel like I've seen someone do that before. I don't know where, but like in Frankie and Benny's especially, like it's kind of like an entertaining sort of restaurant.
Yeah. Well, he was there, and he was an old guy. He was quite an old guy, and he come over and he performed a couple of tricks to us, or what have you. Again, the charisma oozing from this guy was brilliant. And I thought, he was an old guy and he was fantastic. And as your mum mentioned, he's done a few tricks. Oh, have you really? Or what have you? I was like, yeah. I'm trying to get into that kind of thing. He says, well, I'm part of the British Magical Society. They were over in Birmingham. Mm-hmm. Come along. He dropped me his number down on one of his cards or what have you. When you fancy coming over, give us a call. I'll introduce you, this, that, and the other. And I was like, okay, this is my first step to making
going somewhere with it.
Yeah. So one day I went over there. I took one of my mates over with me. But it being sort of the other side of Brum, and they have these nights on sort of once a month. And they start at about sort of 8 o'clock on the night. So it's quite a late, when they finished at 10:30, 11 or what have you, and then you've got to try and get home. So that was a bit of a put off, but I went and I met him there and I met some other guys there. And then they told me about joining this particular thing.
Yeah.
So you have to be sort of recommended by another magician, and then you have to fill out the form, and then you had to audition.
Is that like a magic audition?
Yeah, in front of all the other magicians. Now, again, me being a little bit nervy and a little bit new to it all, I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do that. And the guy said to me, look, we're not looking to look at what you do and pick out faults. All we want to do is make sure that you haven't just brought Paul Daniels' 50 greatest tricks from Smith's and think you know something about magic. Well, I hadn't, because I didn't go down that route. I never brought any magic sets. I thought of my own things back then. I would take an idea that I'd seen, but twist it slightly so it become my own version rather than just copying everybody else's material or what have you. But still, the daunting thing of standing up in front of these magicians was a little bit, it? But again, because it was so far away, I only went another couple of times and I never went back. Some other things.
When you done it to them, when you actually done one, did they like what they...
No, I didn't. I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go.
I didn't go. No. This is why I've gone back to the South Staffordshire Magic exciting, can it? Because I don't know, there's something different about them. They were very welcoming, very warm, fully understanding that, you know, I'm a magician, and they don't do auditions.
Yeah.
Sold.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would rather just sit around a table with other magic guys and show them stuff.
Yeah.
And just, you know, pass on some of my ideas. And that's what all that's about. It's just sitting with a group of magicians, talking magic, performing magic, and nothing's going to be said or what's it about.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that. There's no
quite
audition.
Confidential.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We never give away the most important secrets. Yeah. I'm going to give away not some secrets today, but I'm going to tell you some tips if you're into this kind of thing. Yeah. If you're not, for me now, it's perfect time for
start learning something.
Other people. Yeah, you know, not only does it sort of fill some of the time for yourself through the day, it's something else to learn. It's something you can take with you out of lockdown. But while you're in lockdown, if you've got family living with you or friends or whatever, you entertain them.
Yeah, it's something like everybody at home has a pack of cards down there. It's just like a necessity that everyone has.
Listen, the things that I'm going to tell you today, you ain't going to need a pack of cards for. So, like, you know, they're not major, but they're great. But anyway, I've gone to this British Magical Society, met Alan Merrill, what have you. And then from after that, I mean, this was probably a few years after, I went to... Mum brought me tickets to the Magic Circle down in London, the headquarters. And like, that was amazing. That was, that's a magician's dream to go there and see, to be entertained, to see the place. They've got a museum downstairs. So when you first get there, you're sort of introduced to the place. You get to go downstairs into the museum, where you'll probably find some of the older magic props that they used to use back in the day. You know, I think Houdini's horn is there, something else, and then you'll find this guy. Now, this is just going back. I was given this. And the guy that owned this was a very old guy. It was Billy's first wife. Her granddad had this. And I ended up with this. And a few books and bits and bobs, like little bits and bobs. But the idea is you put your cards in there. So you have a card selected. Just quickly, I'm not going to do the trick, but Dippy Duck, as they call it in the Magic Museum, he comes over and he'll select a card out, which just happens to be, and now we haven't what's-itted, but it's the card that you selected. We haven't done the trick, but that's the principle of it.
Yeah.
I don't use it. I don't carry this round town going round all the pubs and clubs.
We're stuck.
Anybody want to see a trick? I got Dippy Duck with me.
No, you know what I thought you had done then? I thought the card that you had picked out was going to be the 9 of diamonds that I first got.
I could have done that.
But it's actually the 10 of diamonds.
Yeah. It was one off. That's because the duck hasn't performed for a while. So, never mind.
One number off.
That's why I don't use it. Keeps getting stuff wrong. But anyway, so I'd gone down there, and then you have a close-up section in the Magic Circle. So there's probably 2 or 3 rows of chairs, of possibly 6 or 7 chairs in a row. So it's quite close. And this is the close-up section. So you'll sit in your little area and a magician will come over, do some close-up material. You'll get involved. I think you get about sort of 15, 20 minutes with each magician, and then they'll swap. So there's sort of 3 different groups in this room.
Do you know any of the magicians? Had you ever heard of them?
I'd heard of 1 or 2. No, in fact, I'd heard of about 3 of them. And the one guy who we'd done the close-up thing.
Yeah.
3 different magicians. They rotated round, and once you'd finished there, you went into the auditorium and the big stage and the elevated seating and what have you. And then there was about 3 or 4 magicians come on and done some stage stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, in the interval between the close-up and the stage magic, I'd known the one. I didn't know him personally.
Yeah.
But I'd seen some of his stuff. Wayne Fox, his name was. And I went and had a chat with him. I thought, he was in the bar like everybody else, just standing around, and the odd person went up, oh, great performance, this, that, and the other. I thought I'd go and have a chat with him. I was like, all right, Wayne. Shook my hand. Nice to meet you, la, la, la. And I said to him that I was new and performing, because this was quite a few years ago.
Yeah. And
he said to me, nerves can play a big part. And he was the one that said to me, very first time round, get yourself a few tricks that you know well, practice, and only perform them every time you go out.
And that's where you got that from.
And that's where I was first told that.
Yeah.
And I asked him about joining a magic society, and he said he joined one years and years ago. I mean, this guy was fantastic. I mean, again, the charisma, his jokes.
Yeah, like he had a bit of everything in that book that he's first shown me.
Yeah, and his sleight of hand and his misdirection, absolute genius. This is why he's at the Magic Circle performing, because they only get the best people in there. And he was dealing with the cards on that particular night. And I asked him about joining a magic society, and he said he had done, but he was no longer part of one. He said due to the politics that went on in this particular club, it all become not a magic club anymore. And again, so for me, that was a bit of a relief that I hadn't joined one, because you don't need.
You don't want to take the fun away from the magic.
No, that's it.
Yeah,
the title's in the name, Magic Club. It's about magic and that kind of thing. So if you weren't getting that, which was fair enough. So I'd spoke to Wayne Fox, and it turns out I'd met him again a few years later. We become friends through social media, and I talked to him a bit. I brought some of his material. That was fantastic. And then another guy, the last guy of the close-up section that was on, his name was Mark Spellman. Now,
I've heard of him.
You will know him as X off the X Factor. Not the X Factor, sorry, Britain's Got Talent. From a couple of years ago, when he had the video of his daughter.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, I know who you're on about. And he done it like it led to later on.
Yeah. Well, I met him down there as well. We're going back years before he was on Britain's Got Talent or what have you. And he was fantastic as well. Yeah. Again, a little bit more of a mysterious.
Yeah, he was, wasn't
he? He was. And he was like that down at the Magic Circle
as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Unfortunately, I never got to sort of speak to him afterwards, because from there we went into the auditorium. And we watched a few people in there. But the last act there was a guy called Scott Penrose, and he was producing the dubs. I mean, from he had suit and his jacket, and they were coming from everywhere, and you were like, oh my God, you were just mesmerised by what he was doing. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. And again, after the show, I'd spoke to him. We had a bit of a chat on social media. I had a laugh and a joke with him about my sponge balls that I used to, so it was quite funny. And I thought, I've made a couple of really good friends here. And it turned out that probably only, I don't know whether it was last year or the year before, it might have even been before that, I'm not too sure. Scott Penrose is actually now the president of the Magic Circle down in London. Yeah, I know. So, how bizarre is that all them years ago when I was seeing him, he was just
showing, and now he's
he was performing, and now he's up there, which is really nice for him. It was fantastic, and deservedly so, because like I say, he was fantastic. And again, going from there, I used to watch a programme called Killer Magic on BBC Three. I sort of introduced you to it as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
Friends, get yourself on there, watch it. It's on TV, it's free.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, because you have to pay your licence fee. But anyway, watched it. You had Ben Hart on there and Jazz Vegas. Ben Hart, I went to see in Solihull.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is when I'd sort of come out of my shell a little bit more.
Yeah, this is when you started taking more things a little bit more serious and
I was a lot more educated in the principles of magic and sleight of hand and misdirection and what have you. And I was a big fan of Killer Magic, of course, to go and see one of these people live. Again, it was only a small venue in Solihull, but it was a case of, Ben would be on the stage or whatever. Now, is there anybody here that would like to, before he even got to would like to join me on stage?
Yeah, so you've changed. So from a few years before, you didn't even want to look, and now, before he's even finished his talking, you've got your hand up.
No, and he never picked me like for the first but then as we got through the night, does anybody want to join me on stage? I was like a little kid.
Maybe you're doing the wrong tactic. So before you was getting chosen by hiding, and now you're asking to be chosen. You're not getting chosen, you have to hide.
They don't want me up there. And then
when they pick you, you go, yes.
Well, then he did. Really. He picked me.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, you had to stand up and he threw a deck of cards out. You had to flick through the deck, memorise one of the cards, and then throw it to someone else. Yeah. And then he performed this trick or whatever. Yeah, that was great. And then he needed someone to actually go on stage. Well, I ended up going up there. I think he thought, this knobhead's not going to put his arm down.
So I've just got to pick him there. Yeah.
So and he done this trick with a ring. It was quite, it was really good. It was a fantastic night. But at the end of the night, because I'd been speaking about him on social media, saying I was going to watch it or what have you, and he, I think I tweeted something. Well, he liked the tweet and retweeted it because obviously I'm going to see him or what have you. And I thought, okay, we've had a bit of an interaction or what have you there. At the end of the night, I asked him if he'd sign one of my cards for me, one of my playing cards, and he'd signed the front of the deck. There you go, Matt. I said a big fan of Killer Magic and what have you.
Yeah.
And went away. So I thought, I'm going to start collecting a few cards here and get various magicians to sign them for me. For memories for me of all the different places I've been and who I've met.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good pack, the set that you've got.
Yeah, I've got loads in there. I've almost got a full deck of magicians signed my cards. And again, like I say, Jazz Vegas was the girl in Killer Magic. I've been to see her. This was only a few years ago. She was at Derbyshire somewhere. I took my friend's children because his little daughter's well into magic. Yeah, and me and your mum took them over, and she was there, so I got to meet her, have a chat with her, and
get another card,
watch her perform. Yeah, and then from there, I went to a place because I was getting into it now. I was dragging your mum everywhere around the country. Come on, we've got magic to go and watch.
Yeah.
So we went to a place down in London, this was again, and we'd finished work on a Thursday night. I think it was a Thursday night. Yeah, because I'd work the next morning. On a Thursday night to the outskirts of sort of central London. Mm-hmm. After work at 5 o'clock on the night, dragged your mum down there to go and watch this. It's called Conjuring at the Court. And again, I'd spoken to the guy who hosts the event. I think it's a monthly event, and it's set in this. It's quite a nice sort of pub
arena. Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's downstairs. They've got like a function room which they turn it into a bit of a stage. There's a bit of a bar behind, but it's exclusive just for people going to watch this Conjuring at the Court. And I spoke to the guy on social media, Stephen. He's the guy who hosts this. Okay. And again, one of the funniest guys you will ever meet. Yeah. Naturally, just a superstar for me. they had some good acts on that night. So again, we went down there, we watched, you know, you take part, you get involved. I had a chat with Stephen before and after, you know, great night, fantastic, or what have you. And I told him about me doing, you know, magic and what have you. And he took my deck from me, the one that I had this signed, because I said to him, "Oh, can you just sign one of my cards for me?" Yeah. He took it backstage to where all the people were performing, nice. And other magicians that weren't performing anyway, but they were obviously friends of friends and what have you. And they all signed one individually. And he brought it back and went, "Yeah, mate, got all these signed for you." I was like, "Oh my God, thank you very much."
What a legend.
I know. I mean, that was years ago. I went down there, but I still speak to him now. I only spoke to him the other day because he's been, obviously, we're all in lockdown, and he does Trick of the Day. It's only very short. It's very funny, you know, and some of them are great.
And who's that then? What's his name?
Stephen Barry, magician. You look at his website, look at his Facebook page. I mean, he does the NTTA awards. You know, the national television.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he goes to that and performs to the people that are there. And some of his shots that he's got on his Facebook page.
It's him doing that.
He's him performing that. Yeah, really envious of somebody that's done that. But I don't, you know, again, it's not where I'm looking to go. It's not where I want to be.
Yeah.
But it's great for, you know, people like him.
That wanted to get to there and they have got to there.
Yeah.
What would be where would you like to go from where you are, or where at a time before, maybe when you first started, was there ever a time when you really looked to go high, or you always kind of stayed wanting to be where you are now? And
yeah, I've only ever wanted to do it for fun, as a hobby, to entertain my close friends and family. But you touched on it earlier, that everybody I show, they always say to me, "You should be doing this."
Yeah, that is.
And you know, again, just coming back to that, I take your mum wherever I go.
Yeah.
And obviously, she doesn't perform magic, but she knows, you know, certain tricks and certain things and what have you. And she always comes back from these places. And, you know, this isn't more of a testimony to me than it is to anybody else. She says to me, "You are as good as these people that we are watching now in what you do. You don't do the same thing, like I say, with the talking side, the comedy side, the quick fancy flow." She says, "But what you do as regards to us watching you and the people going, 'Oh my God, what have I just seen?' You should be doing that, like for a living." I don't want to make a living out of it. My living is another great hobby of mine and something else that I do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rewind all the way back to the very, very start when I met your mum.
Yeah.
He introduced me to this guy, her dad, David Pegg.
Yeah.
I went and done a bit of work for him. He had his own business doing caravan repairs, fitting tow bars, building motorhomes and whatever.
Yeah.
Done a few tow bars for him, been on the caravans and what have you. And then I sort of went away and pursued my own things. And then I come back and I started helping Dave build these camper vans, motorhomes for a big team. You know, we had a team who was based in Tamworth or what have you. And that then become my passion.
Yeah.
So again, I'm talking about moments in people's lives where they make a difference to you. They change the path that you're on, whether it be good or bad or whatever. Meeting your mum was the first thing because it led me to obviously meeting her dad.
Yeah.
Becoming
the person,
a magician. Learning my trade in what I do. I still build camper vans now. Check me out. All fit in Lichfield, trailers and tow bars. We do motorhomes. I build them all on my own. Everything's hand built to your spec, reasonably priced, well made. Check us out. You won't be. I was taught by one of the greatest men that ever built camper vans, and anyone that's brought one of his
will say the same
vouch that he is, and to have been taught by if you like, the Mr. Miyagi of
camper vans.
Because it was all about wax on, wax off, Gary. Come on, don't build like that. So and I've took everything that I've ever learned from Dave and put it into practice, and people love what I do. And again, it's only testimony to Dave for teaching me what he's taught me. You can't. Again, you need to have your own brain and think about things, because he's not there to hold my hand anymore. I have to do it all on my own. So my ideas are my own. The way I create things is all my own. My color scheme, everything is my own.
Yeah, it's probably because as well, like, obviously if you like doing something and you're passionate about it, you want to do more, so you make it even better. So people will see the joy in you making it.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that isn't your passion, or you're not too fussed about it, it's probably not the thing you should be doing.
No, exactly.
So you need
to go,
right, but I don't think you'll ever know what your passion is until you do it. For like what I do, I would never have picked me to do what I did 5-10 years ago, but then I've done it, and
exactly
that's my passion.
and like how sort of the moments in my life have created where I've gone and what I'm doing now and where I'm at, I'm at the peak of my game when it comes to building camper vans and that kind of thing. And somebody opened a door for me and give me the opportunity to do what I'm doing now. Absolutely fantastic. And the same with, I suppose when you were younger, and the same with Charlie, I would try and open a door that would lead to somewhere. It's up to you to walk in and make of it what you will. But
it doesn't mean that it's going to be the right one, is it?
No, but they can lead you somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
it's not about
the start of something.
You was a late developer when it come to footballing. Mm-hmm. I tried to get you in there when you was probably 5-6 years old. That's when I started, and you went, but you didn't quite enjoy it. So because we're not the parents that will push you into doing anything you do not do. You be who you want to be. You do what you want to do. As long as you don't offend anybody on your way, you do whatever you like, and I will stand up with you and by you for whatever it is you want to do. So we tried to get you into football sort of later on in life, maybe sort of 8 and 9. You were taking a bit of an interest, and then it was probably 10 when you first sort of went out there and played your first couple of proper games. Like Saturday morning football.
I remember my first game. It was a 4-goal. And Mum paid me £2 for every goal, and I got 8.
Well, that's it. What an incentive! And then, all of a sudden, it was costing me a goddamn fortune because you couldn't stop putting the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. So we scrapped that idea. But I see the moment for me in your footballing sort of. Was you were sort of. You were 15. You were dying to play football. I mean, you played for a couple of the top clubs at this particular stage, and people were beginning to notice who you were and what you were doing, and how good potentially you could have been. I remember scouring the planet for a club close to us where I could try and get you somewhere. And then I come back from work one day and I was like, Jack, do you fancy going for a trial at Kidderminster Harriers or what have you? In the National Football League. And they were. It's a starting place. Whatever. We'll go over. We'll have a look. We talk to the principal or what have you. And there was talk of what GCSEs have you got? And we were like, wait a minute.
I haven't even took them yet.
Yeah. Well, anyway, don't worry about it. We'll let you do the trial anyway.
Yeah, just play the game.
You went out. I could barely see a lot because I was way up in the stands, and you were taken out in groups or what have you. But at the end of all of that, basically, the guys come out. The principal, this is the main head guy of everything that's going on there, and he's come out to me. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, he's 15 years old, and he hasn't taken his GCSEs. However, every scout and everybody that works for our club at Kidderminster Harriers that was involved in these trials, that was sat in that stand this afternoon, have all wrote your son's name down as wanting to be in this academy. But he's 15.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the choices then? For me, that was like,
What?
wow.
Leave school.
This is fantastic. Obviously, yeah, you need to get your GCSEs. That's the first and foremost. Your education's important. But they were willing to have you there and then, and wait for your GCSEs. And so they did at the age of 15 to get in there.
Yeah.
It was one of the proudest moments for me. It was like, I've succeeded in doing something that, you know, I always probably wanted to do, but I've opened the door for you to possibly, who knows where it's going to lead. Okay, you're not there now, but it must have give you an education.
It's put me to where I was, though. Like you say, it's the path that got me to what I'm doing now.
And who knows where that will carry on leading what you're doing now. You know, you're on your own 2 feet now, opening doors for yourself. And who knows where it can lead. Fantastic. Couldn't be more prouder. And the same with Charlie. You know, he's gone down a slightly different route. But again, the memory, for me, the one that stuck out more than anything, potentially, he could have been a fantastic player of the game.
Yeah, I know.
Football runs through my veins alongside magic. They're the two things.
Magic, camper vans, football.
Hold on, hang on. Your mum's in there as well. Your mum's in there. Yeah, so for me, you know, Charlie's done something different with his life. He's still only young though, so who knows what path he'll end up going down. But it was a similar kind of thing for me. He was quite shy about playing football, but he started younger than what you did. He started at 6. I mean, you know, and he was straight in there.
Yeah, I remember watching him.
Yeah. These are the things that you do. For me, football running through my veins. When you were the smallest, as soon as you could walk, football at the feet.
Kick the ball.
Kick the ball, left foot, right foot, off the head, on the knee, on the what's it, take you down the park. As soon as you can start actually physically moving, right, dragging down there. Never mind giving him a bloody bottle. He needs to get down the bloody football pitch, get some training in. But, you know, like even when you were growing up, it was left foot, right foot, constant.
I always remember when we had the final for Dostal at the Lamb, and it was obviously an early one at like 10 o'clock, and at like 8:30 we went down just past the underpass where the grass was, the way stick, and you just took the ball, get warmed up at like 8 o'clock. It's like, no one's kicked off yet. They're not even there.
Well, I mean, before I go back to Charlie, what was the thing I used to say to you when you were playing as a forward back then? And I would say to you,
5 shots a game and you will score 1.
Exactly. And what was happening to you when you were doing that? You were coming away from there, scoring goals, left, right, centre. Great bit of advice.
I need to start doing that again.
The old man. Well, anyway, I went back to Charlie. He'd gone to a different couple of clubs in Tamworth, and there was one of the biggest, smallest clubs in Tamworth. You know, for the little league. I think he was probably about 10 or 11. He was a little bit shy, but he had fantastic ability. But he needed telling. You've got the ability, son. And I would do the same for him. I'd take him to one side and give him a little pep talk before each game. He was fantastic to watch. I loved play football. And this, one of the biggest clubs in Tamworth in the small divisions of football, they wanted him to sign. And I said, do you want to sign for them, Charlie? And he was like, oh, you know, not really. You know, it was a little bit, I don't know. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. You are, son. You are good enough. Tell you what, give it a try. If you don't like it or whatever, you know, we'll call it quits or whatever. Yeah, okay, then we'll go for it.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys are smashing people week in, week out. They've got some of the lads that were playing there. They were at Blues Academy. I mean, that's a bit unfortunate, but, you know, there's another lad. No, I'm not against Blue Noses.
I am.
Hang on a minute, am I? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But just for argument's sake, I'm not against any Blue Noses. But, you know, there was some really good young lads playing at this club. Well, anyway, he was on the subs bench, and he didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
He knew maybe one or two, but nobody that he really knew. I don't think that many of them went to his school. And it was a cup game, semi-final, and on the opposite side was one of his mates he used to knock about with. I mean, he was a class footballer as well. This kid was playing for. And Charlie got his chance. I think somebody got injured, and they called him on to play in the centre of midfield. And I'd give him the little talk. Look, just be yourself, play your game, calm down, think about just football. When you get on there, don't worry about anything else. Anyway, they're losing 1-0. By this time, this is Charlie's like losing 1-0. He's come on. And I'm just sort of standing behind the parents. They're all, giving it all the what's it. And the balls come out. And it's well outside the area. And he's come running onto it. It's about 30 yards out. And I've seen it, and I've just said to myself, just hit it, Charles. Just hit it. With his left foot, this is.
Oh,
he's right. Hit it with your left foot, son. And it's left his foot, and it's gone in the top. I mean, this would have been on the Premiership's greatest goals.
Yeah.
In the what's it. And all the parents in front of me were like, they just went absolutely berserk. I'm like, oh my God, who is this kid? And I'm just standing there going, it's my boy, that is. And they've turned around like in the end, because I think one of the coach said, oh, it's Gazzy's lad. Oh my God, he's a fucking hero. And I'm like, and it's 1-1 at this point.
Yeah.
He set up the last goal for the winner, for the semi-final win. And it was just the greatest moment for me. And again, for him then, he was a hero.
Yeah.
And he went on, they played the final, they won the trophy, they won all sorts of stuff. But I think it's, again, moments like that, for him especially as well, being quite shy and withdrawn about being how good he actually was.
Yeah.
It was almost as if that was meant to happen that day to make you relax.
Grow up. Yeah.
You know, I can do this. I can play with the best people. I can do everything. Yeah. That these people are asking me to. And then, he went on. Unfortunately for Charlie, he was at that. I think he played it that long. So we're talking sort of maybe 13, 14, he'd stopped playing. So he'd been playing for 7 or 8 years. And it either leaves you or it don't. I mean, I played from the age of 6 to the age of probably
30,
late 30s. I mean, that's how passionate I was about football. I spent, when you were little, I used to get your mum to bring you along to the football games to sit and watch in the crowd or what have you. I used to go play five-a-side. I was like you, playing it every night of the week. Yeah,
you did. You even played with me at five-a-side, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's it, and that, so probably 30 odd years of my life I spent kicking that bag of air around.
Yeah.
And enjoyed many, many times.
That's it. Obviously you've done that for us. Was there, when you was younger with Magic, was there did anyone ever do anything like that with Magic to you? Like you say you watched Paul Daniels, was that the kind of the moment that you, or was it when you got older and you started doing the tricks more?
Well, like I say, I went to watch, to be entertained myself. There was a few things, so like the Magic Societies where you get to learn a few things when you go to them. But I went to a Magic convention in Sutton where this Wayne Fox just happened to be. Yeah. And they do lectures here. So they actually talk about the workings of particular moves or tricks, and they go right into detail, and you get the lecture notes when you're finished. So I managed to try and get to a few of them and get some lecture notes. And again, they teach you so much. Again, for me, it's not about performing exactly identically what they did, because I want to be my own person. So all these books. So I'm sure, have you got a picture there?
I can get a picture of these books.
So again, over the years of me performing...
we'll have it this way, long ways.
Okay, so I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff there. right
They're all-
smack bang in the...
Yeah, they're
Go
all
on.
quite different as well. Like I can see at the top there's David Blaine, and I remember David Blaine being like is definitely, well, from what I can remember and from what other people remember, is definitely not a tricks to freak out of your friends or an expert card technique bloke. Is it
No.
like David? And then you've got at the bottom, then you've got probably, I would say, your favourite and possibly mine if we're going to go for favourites.
Yeah.
Derek
Yeah.
Brown, and that again, that's not like, you love the card tricks, but he's not one to. Well, it's not probably most famous for doing them sort of things, is it?
Well, that's it. Yeah, you know, I think so. The David Blaine book at the top there, that was probably one of the first ones I got.
Yeah, I remember that book. I remember seeing that book all over.
And again, I've got a couple of DVDs as well that I used to watch religiously and try and sort of practice some of the moves that he was doing on there. And then he started doing, the stuff like where he'd sit in the glass box.
Yeah, what is it, like an escapologist or something like that, is it?
Well, he sat in that glass box, didn't he, above the Thames for as long as he possibly could. Which people, loads of people enjoyed doing that, but that sort of went against what I was trying to achieve, because obviously we can't all do that. As much as your mum would probably love to leave me in a box for about a fortnight.
Didn't he freeze himself as well or something like that?
Yeah, he went into a block of ice. And again, it was all about the performance.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd become unwell from doing that kind of thing, like anybody would, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Darren Brown. I went to see Darren Brown. This was another... I don't know if it was a birthday present that you got for me for Christmas, for my birthday, sorry. And I went to watch him over in Stoke-on-Trent, and oh my God, him and his team are just so entertaining. It's fantastic to watch. So I got that book there, Tricks of the Mind, and I read that more often than I read anything else I ever read. And it's not about tricks. There's one or two things in there that he sort of touches on that you can take away. But I mean, it's about how he become what he become and what he started doing first, a bit of hypnotizing and then moving on to other things, a lot of card tricks. He even talks about, see the big book in the middle there, where it says Magic across the top. Yeah. Mark Wilson's Complete Course in Magic. Now, if you're going to start, that's the book.
That what you would recommend?
Yeah, because it's got a bit of absolutely everything in there, and it's a really good book to start you. Where you'd find it from now, I'm not too sure. It might be a case of they've reproduced it and you can buy it. But that is a very, very old version of that book. But it's got everything in it. And Darren Brown started off with that book.
Oh, right.
It's in his book.
How long have you had that book for?
Oh, God, years. Probably, I don't know, 15 years, something like that. And I mean, God knows how old it is anyway. It's a lot older than that. And then you just look around. I've got Uri Geller's Mind Power book.
Where are we looking?
Just above Darren Brown, the Brown book.
Of course, this guy.
I mean,
The Brown.
Yeah.
Uri Geller.
Not my kind of thing. But again, it was just because... me and your mum joined the Magic, not the Magic Circle. What am I on about? I got magic on the goddamn brain. Me and your mum joined the National Trust.
Yeah, of course.
So you got all these stately homes around the UK that you can go and visit or what have you. And they have second-hand bookshops.
Yeah.
And only just recently, over the last couple of times we've been, I've been trying to find if they've got any magic books. That just happened to be one that was there. So I picked that up. It's not, like I say, it's not my kind of thing, but it's just to add to collection. But my favourite books out of all of those that I use is, next to Darren Brown, you've got Expert Card Technique. Yeah. And then if you follow Darren Brown up to Mark Wilson's Complete Course in Magic, the first one we said, and just to the right of that, the Expert at the Card Table.
The blue one.
Yeah, that. Yeah. And then if you come right again, you've got Self-Working Card Tricks, just one above the black book.
Oh, yeah, the black one, yeah.
Yeah, so, I was on about self-working card tricks. That is absolutely riddled with them. Again, you can probably buy all these off sort of eBay and Amazon, that kind of thing. But I've read every single one of them.
More than once.
Oh yeah. God Almighty, yeah, absolutely. And then if you just look closely on the very sort of far left, you got Tommy Cooper, the All-in-One Joke Book. That's a must-have for anybody. Yes. Anybody that breathes oxygen as a main source of staying alive should probably read that. And then if you follow that all the way right, down to the bottom of my collection of books, there 5,000 great one-liners.
That's what I was going to say. So, like, when you look at that, a lot of people would expect probably someone that's learning magic to have just books on magic, whereas here you've got 5,000 one-liners, you've got card manipulations, then normal card tricks, then you've got a David Blaine book, and then you've got a psychology book as well. So they're all kind of different things that makes up a magician, not just what people would expect.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you know, and everybody will have their own sort of ability and their own taste in what they want to do. And I would imagine that when most people say, there's a magician around or whatever, they'll sort of put him alongside a pack of cards.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to learning to do magic, or, you know, illusions, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's what I normally say is I'm going to create you an illusion. I don't like to be claimed as a magician because, again, it's probably my own that I wasn't ever good enough, but people say I am, so I believe them.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I think that's what it has been as well. Like you were just saying about when Charlie played football and he'd done some good things, and then he finally realised he belongs in that team and he is good. Have you ever actually felt like that with magic? Like, have you ever thought that I actually belong in that society? Like, Mum tells you you're better than them. Have you ever thought that you are?
Yeah. When I perform for people I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and there's been that many times we've had, you know, back where we used to live, we've had your mates come round, you know, and you were all quite young, and that can be quite intimidating because obviously you lot being young and wise and street and all that, you know, I've got to try and impress these boys, and I think I blew the minds of many of your friends. With me packs of cards. I mean, you got Reese, you got Ryan, Dylan.
I think you've not just, like, when I started doing magic, because of you obviously doing it, you did it to them as well. Like, so obviously Dylan then became the same sort of person, didn't he? He went and got cards, and I don't think he ever would have. But would it be for you doing them sort of things?
That's it, you know, and I can't stress any more to anybody that it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Even if you don't need to become a master, you know, you just grab yourself a pack of cards. The first thing that I've showed you on this podcast, when I had those 5 cards up, if you get that arrangement and you say what I said, now this is the thing. So we go into the psychology book now, and the card experts and all that kind of thing, the books that I've got.
Yeah.
It's what you say that triggers off people's minds. So some people that are going to watch this at the start, they would have picked that 4 of hearts out,
of course,
and they will go, oh my God, how on earth did he know that? So
have you got any more things like that for us today?
Yeah. So this is something that you probably all need to try and take this away with you. Now I've done this to you before, Jack, it's not going to mean anything to you, but to anybody else. And again, this is one of them things where you don't need a packet of cards. And this was on one of David Blaine's videos. They don't tell you how it's done, but I just thought, I'll do that. I'll try that. And this is when really early on, I'm on about really early on. We're talking like 15 odd years ago. I first done this, and I still do it now. This is how bloody good it is. But you've got to learn to take, okay, so let's set the scenario. You need a packet of cards with you, and I'll explain why after, if you can. but it goes like this. If you think of a number between 1 and 50, okay? But before you think of the number between 1 and 50, let's make it really interesting. If you make both digits of the odd value, but of different value, yeah, you got a number between 1 and 50, okay? And then we would reveal 37. And the amount of times, so again, this is just, it needs to be said the way that it's said, and I'll point out the reasons why. So what we're saying is, we're saying, think of a number between 1 and 50 and try and build it up a little bit, but don't let them think of the number between 1 and 50 and giving them a completely free choice.
Yeah.
So what we're all going to do straight away is we're going to put into their head that it needs to be 2 digits.
Yes.
So when I say, yeah, think of a number between 1 and 50, but before you do, let's make it interesting. Okay, let's make this interesting. Make both digits. So I've already told you you're picking 2 numbers now.
Yeah.
I did say at first, let's pick a number between 1 and 50. That could have just been the number 5. But I've made you pick 2 digits. Let's make them of odd value. So again, we're making this interesting. I mean, this could be, let's make this of an odd value. You know, this is what these people are thinking. That, let's make it of odd value, but make them different. So you're telling them we need 2 digits, odd value. So your mind starts working then. Okay, odd value. Okay, you said odd value. I know there's a 3 in there. Okay.
It's like 3 springs to mind first, doesn't it? You forget
of course
about
it does.
1.
Because, it's just the way that the mind works. And again, this will not happen 100% of the time. No. It never does. But it does happen. And you'll be surprised at how many times it does happen. But it's all about the wording of what you're going to do. And again, because I've been doing this for so long, you build up the suspense. Think of a number between 1 and 50. Let's be calm. Think of a number between 1 and 50. But before you do, to make it really interesting, make both the digits odd value, but make them different as well. Have you got one? So you want to do slow, explain, get them to pick. You're forcing them 2 digits, odd value, different value. Have you got one? Yeah. 37. And I just go for the 37. And the amount of people. I was at a party, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, so this is how recently I've done this. Yeah. I'd gone there. My friends that I go to know I do magic. They love my magic and insist on me bringing this magic to wherever I go, where they are. This particular time, it was, I don't know what it was. It was some kind of party that was going on, but I didn't take anything. And one of my mates that was there, his name's Gaz as well. He was like, "Oh, Gaz, have you brought?" I mean, what a great guy! Straight away, he says to me, "Have you brought any magic with you?" I was like, "I haven't, mate. I'm sorry, no." I says, "But I'll try this." And I did the, think of a number, mate, between 1 and 50. Yeah, but before you do, I went through the whole what's it. And I said, "You got one?" He was like, "Yeah." I went 37. He was like, "Oh my God Almighty, how on earth you're in my head?" And he was like, he freaked him out big time. And I was like, "That's the kind of reaction I want from this thing." And he was just like, "How did you even get him?" Oh my God, that is just, And he says, "Right," he says, "you need to go and do this to someone else." But obviously you doing the same thing is never a good idea because it never works on someone else all the time. So, but that was just some of my feedback from how people will think you are in their heads. Yeah. If you can get that kind of thing.
I've seen that reaction from yours quite a lot of times.
It's mad. I mean, just going on to something else then while we're on here. Now I'd already known about this for years and years and years, but just touching on Darren Brown's book, That Trick of the Mind.
Yeah.
He goes on about muscle reading. And again, you know, this isn't, we're not giving stuff away. This is just something you could probably research this and
Well,
find
if
it.
it's in a book, isn't it? So
Well, it's someone for everybody to view. So again, yeah, he doesn't, I'd already known about this anyway, but this just confirmed it for me that it was a genuine thing. And it's called muscle reading.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is, and again, for anybody that's watching, you've got to try this because it's just bizarre. It's just the way the human body works. You don't need anything for it. We do. 4 different items. 4 different, I make them quite different. So I don't know anything. A packet of cards, a pen, a spoon, and what have you. A bloody
banana.
Yeah, anything. As long as they are 4 individual items and space them out. So there's a nice clear gap between item 1, 2, 3, and 4. And have them on the table. Then you want to get your person that's going to get involved in this to think of any one of those 4 items and make it clear in their mind that it's the item they're thinking about. Now you take their arm like so. So I would grab their wrist from above and I would say, now I need full control of your body and your arm. So I want you to relax, get the arm as limp as possible. And then I start waving it over the said items. And you will feel
a pull,
some resistance, or more to them guiding you to their item.
Okay.
So the path of least resistance is their item. So what I do is I make it a bit more of a drama. I will narrow it down to 2 items. So you'll feel whether it's pulling in one direction or allowing you to pull in one direction. Once you get, so say if it's in these 2 items, discard these 2 and move these 2 other items further away.
Yeah.
And then go again. And you'll feel some resistance and you'll feel less resistance. The less resistance, okay. So they're pointing me almost towards this, like, concentrate on the item. Concentrate on the item. Keep telling them concentrate on the item, and it might take a couple of times for you to find what resistance feels like. But once you do, and you do, obviously you can only practice this on one person at a time. Can't do it to the same person because they'll know what you're trying to do, so their brain will work in a different way. But if they're completely unaware, and just try it, if you've got 3 or 4 members of your household, just try it with them and you'll be amazed at that's muscle reading. So he does it in a version where he actually has a person, he'll get them to hide an item somewhere in the studio or whatever, if he's doing it as a proper magic.
Yes.
And he'll get that person to physically guide them and walk them around. Whereas I just do it on a table with 4 objects. But again, it's just something that you don't need any special magic props for it. The same as the number 1.
Yeah.
Just give it a go.
That's it.
It's so much fun. And when you get that first reaction of somebody doing it, you'll think, oh my God, this is good. But don't deviate from the way it's meant to be. That's the thing. It's, you might think, oh, well, I'll alter that slightly. Don't stick with that, because trust me, I know that that's how it works.
Yeah.
And again, so it's a case of planting a seed in the spectator's mind.
Yeah.
So again, with sort of visual effects, you need to plant an image. So, we was on about earlier when you do a trick to a spectator and they will replay back in their mind what they've just seen.
Retrace their steps of...
to try and not figure out the magic, but,
where did it happen?
Yeah, how, because it's just mind-blowing or what have you.
Yeah.
So, again, with the misdirection, you can either misdirect somebody and they won't even have a clue anyway. They can go back through the pictures in their mind of what they've just seen, but because you've created a little misdirection and you've performed your piece of magic there, they're never going to have seen it anyway. So That's the beauty of misdirection. They can replay all they like inside their head. It'll never show up. Same as these self-working card tricks, because they self-work, they can replay everything through the mind, won't ever see anything.
Yeah, I think some of the best ones you've done definitely are when the other person takes the cards and does it themselves, because they've got literally nothing to, they can't figure out anything because they've done it. Even the people around them will say, well, you done it, so how, you didn't even touch the cards.
Yeah.
They're good.
So again, that's it, yeah. So again, they're just, like I say, I've got myself a little set that I do, the same sort of set every time I'll do something to somebody, unless I try to do it with just a normal deck of cards. Mm-hmm. There's that many different varieties of cards you can buy off the internet these days, you know. But again, they're good, they're great. Don't get me wrong. You know, you can use them. You can, and they show off some fantastic effects. Yeah. But if somebody's there that's going to want to see what you've got, then you're pretty stuck. Yeah, so, you know, a normal deck, and like all these books, well, not all of these books, but a majority of these books that I've got here, they've all got some great card tricks in there. We've got a picture of some of your stuff as well, haven't we? Oh yeah, so this is the famous suitcase. Oh yeah, and the duck and the arm chopper. Right in the centre. Yeah, like I say, I don't use the duck. It's just a bit of a few of my props. I don't use the duck. I very, very rarely use the 2 silver cups where you put the ball in and make it disappear and reappear. Then you got the arm chopping machine there to the right. Now the DVDs, the very bottom one with the guy springing the cards to one end to the other, Daryl, his name is, and he does what they call an ambitious card routine, and that's probably one of the first things I brought 20 years ago. Oh, okay. And it is brilliant. If you can learn some of those moves off there, I'm not going to tell you any of them that are on there, but if you can learn some of them moves, the ambitious card. Oh, I perform that. I would say that a lot of magicians have their own version of the ambitious card because it's brilliant. It is brilliant. Yeah, basically, the basis of the trick is, I'm not going to share you any techniques or what have you, but you put the card in the middle of the deck and it just keeps popping back to the top. That's the ambitious card. That's what it's all about. And we all have that. Just pop that picture back up a second, Jack. Yeah. I'll just go through a few of the other items that are on there. So, of course, at the very front of the case there, back in my early day, you got the balloons. I used to do balloon modelling. So a bit of magic, bit of balloon modelling. And your mum used to do face painting. Do you remember being a tiger? Part. Yes, I do. I do, actually. But one thing I remember about the balloons is that one time, which wasn't so long ago, when you blew the long balloon up, and it must have been bigger than probably a metre long, and you just literally come into my room, blew this balloon up and ate it. Yeah, well... Put it all the way down your throat, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know what to do. You know, I was telling you about Stephen Barry from down Conjuring the Court. I've been to see him down in London, the guy there. Well, he's been doing isolation tricks. Yeah, he does one every day. Like I say, you know, they're small, neat, nice little tricks. And he done that on one of his videos. You know, I've done a few videos in lockdown myself. Yeah, of course. And, you know, a few people have watched them or what have you. But I'll come back to them in a minute. I'll come back to them in a minute. Let's just talk about my box. So we've got the balloons there for balloon modelling. I used to do a bit of balloon modelling before I started swallowing them. And then you've got the juggling balls. Again, you know, it's just something. Love to do a bit of juggling. You like doing a bit of juggling as well, didn't you? Juggle, yeah. Yeah, so again, you know, that's something else I've taught you. Is just the main principle. You've learned to do it yourself after I taught you the main principle of how to juggle. So that's fantastic. I've got various decks there. I've got me sponge balls. Like plungers? No, little tiny plungers. Now, that's something I've had it in my box for years, but I've never used them. And in lockdown, I've been doing some messing about with them, if you like. And I've got something with them, and I really, really like doing what I do with them. I've only performed it to your mum, and she loved it. She thought it was brilliant. So that's something in the future I might be adding to my repertoire. We've got the watch in there as well. I like to wear the watch.
I remember the watch.
Yeah, I don't always use the watch. Big black wallet on the front there. Now, the envelope behind contains a few secret items. We've got various decks of cards. We've got some post-it notes for people to write objects or names or something, and I'll mentally sort of reveal what they were thinking of. So that's pretty much the basis of that. And that suitcase goes... years ago, that suitcase would come everywhere I went. So if I went shopping at Aldi, that'd be in the back of the car, ready for whatever reason. I never get it out. It was there. You never know. I carry a rucksack around with me wherever I go, and in it is 2 or 3 decks of cards, always there at the ready, because you just never know. So anyway, coming back to what we were on about, what we were going to say was the balloons. Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to
Steve doing the isolation videos, was it?
Oh yeah, so he does isolation video. He done that. Yeah. And like I said, I've been doing my own little tricks and putting them on YouTube or what have you.
And where can people find them?
If you go onto my YouTube channel, now people are saying it's under my name, Gary Cross. But if you type in gazxify, that's GAZXIFY, then you'll find, I think some of the tricks are on there, and then just below when you type that in, it'll be Gary Cross as a separate YouTube channel, and I think the rest are on there. So that was when I was coming up with a stage name. If I'd have done a magic trick to you, and you'd have been wow, you'd have been gazxified.
Oh yeah, I like that.
How stupid is that?
Gazxified.
Now you're being gazcrossified. Yeah, so yeah, you'll find a few on there. I don't really like doing stuff as a video and sending it out there, because it gives people the chance to rerun and you know, look through.
Maybe figure some out.
Yeah, you know, so I've tried to pick tricks that I probably wouldn't ever perform. If I was doing a live performance for somebody, I wouldn't probably use any of them.
So it doesn't matter if people pick out, maybe, because they don't see it.
And if you, in fact, watch them. And if you feel like you can repeat any of them, use them for yourself. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
That's one of the talks before. So obviously you've done all of these tricks and you've made up some yourself, and you've been doing it for so long. Obviously you've given out a few tips now, and you've done your videos. Well, there was talk once about a book.
Yeah. So again, just all the books that I've got, there's a lot of stuff in there that you probably you wouldn't use.
Yeah.
And again, I suppose knowing what you know, when you first set off as a magician, you sort of you spoil it for yourself sometimes. In my case, I spoiled it for myself by knowing some of these things. And then you sort of tend to say to yourself, well, that's that easy. Why is it fooling anybody? And because it no longer fools you, you tend not to do it anymore. Yeah, so you can go round and round in circles, learning something that you originally show or share with somebody and get a great reaction. And then you sit there and think to yourself, well, my God, that was... How did I get such a reaction from that? Right, okay. Now I've got a reaction from that. I want to learn something bigger and better and bolder.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time learning things and taking hours to learn these particular moves or sleights of hand, and you perform it and you don't get any better reaction than the one that you did that was the most easiest thing that you think to yourself, my God, how did you fall for that?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so I went back it took me a long time. It took me years to go back to my roots, if you like, of just using the basic principles and turning it into a bigger effect. Still getting the same wow and putting a bit more in and getting a bit more out, but just going down that route. And for me, that was where I went. Like I say, these books, there's a lot of stuff in there you won't use, but there's some really good stuff in there. Now, from my own experience of obviously everybody I've ever shown what I've done and got the reactions that I've got from, and not all these are self-working, they're my own ideas. There's, you know, other people's ideas as well. But like you've said, they're in books for people to share. So I can share them as well. I was coming up with a book that was sort of for starter magicians, if you like, but probably also the more advanced ones as well, because I think sometimes I certainly did, and there's probably people out there as well that get wrapped up in trying to learn this fancy,
super stuff,
flourishing, super move. And for me, all you're trying to do is impress other magicians with that, because they're going to be the ones that don't know what you've done by doing this particular fancy sleight of hand or flourish or whatever. So I'm not trying to impress another magician.
No.
I've got no intention. I don't care that I can't impress other magicians, because it's not about that for me. It's about me having fun and just showing someone else, just making them have fun at the same time. And if it just means me knowing the very basic parts of card control and sleight of hand, and I achieve what I'm trying to achieve, well, then that's good for me, because I'm not trying to impress anybody with...
Well, it's entertainment for a reason, I guess. Yeah,
well, that's it. And there's all kinds of levels of entertainment. And it's a shame, really, because just going off it at the minute, there was another guy on Britain's Got Talent, and I think it was last week, and he went and performed a trick to the judges, and it was brilliant to watch, you know, and everybody in the bloody crowd was completely amazed by it. But then you search around on the internet, on YouTube and other platforms and what have you, and all people want to do is ruin it for him and just go. And there's several of them. Oh, this is how he did it, and this is what he did, and this is how. I mean, you know, so what? It was great, man. It was fantastic to watch, and that's when I go to, like I say, when I go to magic shows, conventions, I just want to be entertained by these people. They're brilliant at what they do. I don't sit there going, oh, well, I know I did that, and maybe you shouldn't have done that. No, man, I love what you do, and a hat's off to every single one of you that do it. It's brilliant.
It's good. I think people just need to understand it.
And that's all I want to do. You know, I don't want to become across as like, you know, and that's sort of the thing, I suppose. People say, oh, you know, your dad's a magician or what have you, you know, get him round and we'll have a party, you know. And all of a sudden the expectation's on me. I don't mind doing it to friends, your friends and family. I've got no problem. But I wouldn't want to go and charge money for people to be, not that they would be disappointed, but you might get the odd one that's not in, but then they wouldn't pay money to see it, I suppose. But then, you know, I got another guy I spoke to on social media before, and he just started off doing magic card tricks and what have you, and now he does weddings and stuff and venues and what have you. So you know, again,
have you ever thought of that?
No, because I suppose I've read a lot of lectures on people that perform at weddings and how to approach party guests and stuff like that. So I'm all very clued up on how it should work. And obviously don't throw your magic in people's faces that don't want to see it. And that, you know, a wedding, it must be difficult because you don't know if everybody's into magic. There's obviously going to be some, there's obviously not going to be anybody sometimes. So, you know, and again, hats off to the guys that do it. I think it's great, but it's not something that I'd want to do. You know, I'd turn up free of charge, a little gathering, you know, when the lockdown's done, round your gaff, You got a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
mates,
yeah,
show
yeah.
you a few card tricks, get, you know, if anybody wants to learn something or what have you.
Yeah, that's good.
You know,
I think that's what people would like prefer more, really.
yeah, you know, maybe £5 an hour, anything like that. I'm not, you know, I'm not extortionate in the prices.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But like I say, a bit of fun. You've done it. Charlie's done it. Charlie got well into it
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
That's your brother, obviously. And he would go out doing performances for his girlfriend and the family and what have you.
Yeah.
And again, that's somewhere else. I'd gone to his girlfriend's mate
yeah.
on the night time that once, because obviously word gets around. And, you know, people want to be entertained, you know, so what perfect then that you know somebody that's a magician that will show you a few, you know, effects and what have you, and just, you know, make some friends and get to know people, you know. So I went round there and spent pretty much all night performing magic. Loved it.
Yeah.
And again, you know, they're not the only ones, because everybody's the same. Like you say, they come away and they're like, we need to book you to go somewhere
I've
else.
seen that
like,
so many times.
I get it all the time, but my mate at work, he's like, he has something to do with like care in the community, that kind of thing, and his wife does as well. And he, last year when I was doing performance for him, you know, in my lunch break, just in case the boss is watching, in the lunch break, weren't doing it in work time. And he said to me, will you come and perform for me? I'll pay you all this, that, and the other. I was like, mate, I don't think I really, you know, I couldn't, kind of thing.
No.
I'm still there for whatever reason. I feel, do you know what? In this lockdown thing, since I've put them videos out, I feel like I can. I feel a little bit more confident knowing that people have seen my work now that I don't know at all.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly like those tricks that I've put on YouTube because I'd rather do it live.
Yeah,
you can't
cool. That's what you've always said that.
Yeah, you know, I can misdirect you. I can get to know you. I can be a bit more of me performing rather than just a video and a pair of hands that you see in a trick go on the video. So I'm nothing like what those tricks are like when I'm really performing. So
I think like that's another reason why everyone that's been to watch you that I know says like you've got all the big names and everything like that, and everyone knows who the big famous magicians are, but everyone, including myself, will always say, oh, he's so much better than them famous magicians. But like, and that's because you see all them on telly and it's just not, and we're getting to see you live and that just makes it so much better.
Yeah. And that's what done it for me. Like I say, when I went to the Magic Circle and I've been to Conjuring at the Court down in London and all the different magic societies, watching and performing them in the flesh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. Than me watching something on TV. Because I suppose, again, you know, some people are a little bit sort of, they believe that what they see on TV is real kind of thing. I know, fair enough. If you want to believe that, absolutely fine. But we all know, you know, that some things are impossible to do. So I like to make it a little bit more believable. You know, if it's happening there in your hand and there is no fancy moves or, you know, what's going on, and it's there and it's just happened, the feeling that you get, because I've had it happen to me down at the Magic Circle, you know, these people are close up, it's in your face, it's in your hand. How
can you do that? It can magic.
It can only be magic.
Yeah.
No, it's like I say, I don't claim that magic is real. You know, I haven't got any dust that I sprinkle over that makes real. It's just an illusion, but it's what you make of it.
Yeah.
Some people love it, some people hate it, but you know, have a go. You've tried, enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie's tried, enjoyed it. If I'm doing something that I know I'm never going to use, like the lads at work or what have you, and wherever I've worked or whoever I've met, I've even taught Grandad a few.
Yeah,
and he goes off up the bloody street showing the neighbours and what have you.
He does,
You know, so, you know, everybody loves a little card trick or a bit of mind reading or something, you know, and it's there for everybody. And especially now with what we're going through, you know, it's something that, you know, I'm not saying go and become the next David Blaine or Dynamo or whatever you want to be. Just use it for a bit of fun.
Yeah. One of the things that we haven't spoke about, if we go right back to the start when it all happened with you and your wizard outfit, is well, we got you associate a wizard with doing magic, and what's your costume?
Mine, I've got a false beard that I wear that's slightly greying underneath, and I've got this thing that I put over my head. It makes it look like I've got really short hair, and then these sleeves that I slip on and off. They just slip on and off there. That's my character.
Yeah.
I just let the cards do the talking. It doesn't matter what I look like. Although I probably look a little bit more, I don't know, mature.
Yeah.
Now.
More magic. You could wear a hat now.
Well, that's it, yeah. I mean, you know what? I never really used to notice sort of guys with beards and bald heads before. But I tell you what, there's bloody loads around, isn't there? When you look at, you know,
there
it's
is
like
now you're one. Like,
well, I know. Well, that's it.
So.
It's like that thing, you know, when you buy a car and you think, oh yeah, I'll buy that because you don't see many on the road, and then as soon as you get it drive down the street, yeah, you sit in the traffic queue and every car next to you is the same blue one as well.
Yeah, there are bald people everywhere.
It's refreshing.
It's because of the lockdown. Everyone's shaved down.
And the pleasing thing for me was that I was getting a bit concerned that my hair was getting quite thin on top. Yeah. Because obviously, you know, I was getting a bit older and whatever. And I thought, I always used to say to the hairdresser when I go there, oh, he's getting thin on top. No, it's all right. It's fine. It's, yeah, okay. It was starting to go a little bit. The forehead starts to grow slightly. Further and further back. But I let this grow back like over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. And it was actually starting to grow back in the places where I thought, oh, if I shave my head, it's never
going to grow back there, yeah.
It started coming back, yeah. Started to get the old tennis ball head over the last few days.
Yeah. Mine's different colours. So here is really dark, but here is white. So it's like I've got streaks of white hair and then dark hair and then dark hair. It's funny. I'm a mixture of different colours. And then I've got these eyebrows.
You know, just going back to the past and me doing magic and what have you. And I always used to come in and say to you and Charlie, didn't I? I've got a new trick or what have you. Do you remember the time? And I'm sure you will. I was, I don't know what I'd watched or what I'd read, but I thought, I'm going to try this effect. I mean, this was just completely one of those coincidences that, oh my God, you'll never be able to replicate ever in your life again. So I've gone through this deck of cards, by the way, people. I'm at home and the boys are quite young or what have you. And I've gone through and I've just picked one card out and held it on as a singular card on its own. And I'm holding it here. And I've gone into, I don't know if it was you or Charlie first. I think it might have been you I'd come into first. And I was like, think of any card. You know, pretty serious. Think of any card. You can think of any card you like. And you'd said to me, the 3 of clubs.
Oh, yeah.
And in my hand, I had that 3 of clubs. Now, for me, that was absolutely mental because I was like, wow, I mean, what are the chances? 52 cards. And the one that you'd thought of was the 3 of clubs. Well, I showed you straight away. I went, oh my God, how amazing is that? And I went into Charlie's room. This was like seconds between asking you. I went into Charlie's room. Now, you couldn't hear anything because it was the other side of the house or what have you. And he was playing something. Maybe had his headphones on or what have you. And I tapped him. Oi, think of any card you like, Charlie. Any single card you like. And he said the 3 of clubs, didn't he? I was like, oh, no. I mean, it was the greatest moment in my life. And it was amazing. And then, what was it? It was since you've lived where you've lived, didn't it? You was walking down the road.
Yeah, the street, and I seen the 3 of clubs on the floor by Ventura.
In the middle of Ventura, on the floor in the car park, he has walked across. There's no other cards about.
Just that
there is one single card lying on the car park floor. that was the 3 of clubs.
That card's followed me around everywhere for like the last 10 years of my life.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't believe how much it's followed you around. Now, I believe that there is something going on with this card.
I do remember, like...
For you.
I remember having a deck of them cards. Like, I remember having, like, just loads of them. Once upon a time. With some set that I brought or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about this card, and can you... You can see that, Jack, yeah? And
I can see it.
Can you think of that? Can you picture that card in your head?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Like, easily.
Yeah.
So maybe it's because you're picturing that card in your head that it appears in places that you wouldn't expect it to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you know, on your table where you're sitting there,
yeah,
and you got some kind of thing that you put your joss sticks on, or some kind of liquid burning kind of. Yeah. Where is it?
It's I don't know. It's over there somewhere. Hold on, I'll get it.
Just have a look. Oh, no, maybe it's not there then.
Is that it?
No. Hold on a minute. You're sitting right in front of your tapestry there.
Yeah.
What, you got the laptop on the...
On the pallet.
Oh, on the pallet. Hold on. Just bear with me a minute.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry, an oil diffuser.
Oh, the 3 sticks in it?
Yeah.
Oh, I threw it.
Where?
In the bin.
When?
It ran out.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, never mind.
Was you going to do something then?
Yeah, when did you throw that out?
Not so long ago.
Oh, right. And you haven't got another one on your table there, right in front of you?
No. Is this going to appear?
When did you set your laptop up this morning?
Yeah.
And it's not under there?
It's not under there.
Oh, no, maybe not. Maybe I thought the 3 of clubs was going to appear somewhere.
Would have been good if it did appear. But yeah, that card is stuck with me a lot of times. I usually pick that card as well if it's in the deck.
Yeah.
I always do.
Never mind. No.
So obviously you spoke a lot. You gave quite a few tips with you gave some card tricks out as well. Have you got any other tips or advice to other people that might be trying? Yeah.
Basically, get yourself a good card trick book. There's a few out there. They're quite, they're pretty cheap to buy, and they're like card trick encyclopedias. A bit like this one.
Okay.
Card trick encyclopedia. And there's, I mean, it's a thick old book.
Yeah.
And you could be there for a long time. But you want to just, pick a nice, easy... If you read it first and it sounds complicated, then just move on. Go to the next one. And you'll find something. It might be a case of you just got to flick through the book. I mean, you've got all the time in the world at the minute.
Yeah, that's it.
There's nothing stopping you. Get yourself one. Once you've got one, perform it to yourself so you know exactly what's going on and that the trick actually works. And it does not matter that you read it and you go, oh my God, is that all it was?
Yeah.
Or you go, oh wow, that's quite good. Yeah, that's really good. That is okay. Just practice, practice, and make sure that you get it down to a T. You don't have to do a lot of talking. If there's a bit of misdirection involved, my misdirection tips are to either make eye contact with the person. If you sit there staring at them long enough, they'll look up and stare at you, or say their name. Ask them if they could remember the card. If you've given them a card to select and they've had it and you've had it back and you've put it back in the deck and you want it to reappear, but you need to perform a maneuver, I just ask them, can you still remember what your card is? And because you're asking them to think, they will suddenly think. And it only needs to be for that split second, but it's enough for you to perform your maneuver, move on. Practice is the biggest thing. Practice and practice and practice. And don't overcomplicate anything that you're going to do. If you're just learning it for the first time, nice and simple. You'll be amazed at the most basic thing you can do. And the reaction that you'll get from it. And once you get that, you'll get an addiction then.
Yeah.
You want to just keep going and going and going. But again, it's a case of you can keep going forever, because I've spent 20 years of my life.
You use magic to help you sleep?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, yeah. Again, this is how much it goes on inside my head. The thing when I put my head on my pillow, after I've been reading one of my books or what have you, to go to sleep, I will rerun through a trick. And it can be one that I've well rehearsed. It can be a new one that I'm trying to think of. And I will just go through it step by step. And before you know it, I'm fast asleep.
Yeah,
and that's how I get to sleep. You know, some people count sheep. I don't. I perform. Pick a card, any card. Yeah. So that's what I end up doing. Yeah, but the most important thing is practice. Practice.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it. Don't go and don't be fooled by what you read on some of these. If you're going to go on eBay and buy, some kind of
big set or something.
Yeah, well, any kind of device or you will be able to. You'll be able to read people's minds within reading this book. You can't. You need to practice really hard at it. You don't just read that book and then all of a sudden, oh my God, yeah, mate, think of anything you like, anything at all. It doesn't really matter what it is. Yeah? Okay? Jar of jam? No. Oh, well, the book, that £100 I spent on that book.
Said that.
Because it's not, don't believe everything that you read on some of these adverts, because they're just getting you to buy something,
And that goes with anything as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. And again, you'll get stuff. And again, I was naive to start with, where you'll get, be able to perform this miracle. And then all you end up getting is 2 A4 sheets of paper. So you don't actually get a trick. You get 2 A4 sheets of paper telling you how you can bloody perform this thing. And yet you're like, I thought I was going to be blinking David Blaine.
Yeah, Darren Brown performing a miracle.
No, I painted the eye on my hand. I'm ready. And then this crap turns up. So, just get yourself a book, practice a couple of card tricks out of it, make sure they're right, practice on your family. They'll get pissed off, just like mine have.
We love watching it.
Yeah, no, but your mum's a bit, what's it? Oh, for God's sake.
Not again.
You know what? This thing happened to me the other day, and it was like payback. I like to go in and interrupt your mum, whatever it is she's doing. You've got to watch this, Steph, because I've just learnt a new piece of card trickery. And I won't take no for an answer. It's got to be happening. Well, anyway, she was sat there watching Coronation Street the other day, and I went in and said, and she was like, "No, I need to watch this first." And I'm like, How can you not want to see this? You're watching Well, anyway, this is nothing to do with, it is to do with magic. It's magic related, because I was trying to show her a trick. Well, then I was playing FIFA the other day, and your mum come in and tried to talk to me. And you can't talk to me while I'm playing FIFA.
No, you can't.
So I might look up and acknowledge, but it's not going in. And will you please shut up? Because if he scores a goal in a minute, you are going to get some verbal abuse, please. So she said to me, when the coronation thing happened with the card trick or whatever, now you know how it feels.
Yeah.
My watching Coronation Street was like you playing FIFA. Even whatever important your trick was, I needed to watch it. I was like, God, is that what I sound like when I'm on FIFA? Yeah, I am. So now I play COD instead.
That's funny. No, mate. That's good.
Yeah, it is. It's all good. But this lockdown thing, I think, you know, I go out and shop once a week. I do. Try and keep myself to myself. Learn, obviously, a few new tricks and what have you. A few moves more than tricks. And the pleasing thing for me that's going to come out of it all is my tiny plungers. I'm really looking forward to using them when I come out. But I just think it's going to be a whole new way of life out there when we come back.
Yeah, I know.
And you know, maybe
after everyone watching this, everyone's going to be a magician.
Well, that's it. Good luck to all of you.
Obviously, you're going to use the plunger things, and you put some things on YouTube. If people wanted to see you do them, because obviously, if someone does watch now and they're like, "Oh, I want to see what he does with the plungers," how are you going to get that put out there?
Well, you're all going to have to be patient.
Yeah, because if people go now and go and watch the YouTube and see and like are amazed by how many people probably have been already, then people are going to want to see more. Well,
I'm not going to be putting it up as a video, let's put it like that, because I enjoy doing it that much.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be a case of you're going to have to see that one for yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure many of the people that are probably watching this we're friends with and we know, you know, I'm sure there can be some kind of gathering as long as it's not all at once. You know, I don't want, how many subscribers we've got to this? About 3 million.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I only want about half of them turning up.
Yeah.
Time.
A 1.5 million audience.
No, you know, we've got a handful of people. I'm sure, you know, like your friends from school,
of course,
and obviously all your other friends that you know through football and school and what. You know, if at particular times we want to get round at your house, I'll be more than happy to come and show them particular people.
Yeah, that's what we want.
You know, like you've got Abby there. I've showed her a few things, haven't I? And she's been like, whoa, I've done a few live stuff to you guys over.
Well, the thing is about that is that when she talks to her friends now, she talks about that. So then your audience now is going like,
yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Like, what? And they know that this is coming, so that everyone I say, like even the teachers at school, like, oh well, I've sent them some of the videos to share it on Facebook, and they did it, and then they're like, "Your dad's a magician," and I'm like, "What?" And then they watch it, and, like, and then actually it goes to there. It's all over the place. Then.
Yeah. Well,
you need to get to London, go stand in Speaker's Corner, and just do stuff.
Oh, there's plenty of people down in London, mate. When we went down to that Magic Circle, the next day we went and had a walk round London, Piccadilly, Covent Garden, that kind of thing. And everywhere I seemed to turn a bloody corner with somebody standing on a corner, to perform in something. I'm like, oh, I went and watched them or what have you, you know. It's like I said, I love watching it, but nah. Tamworth Town is, I used to go down Tamworth Town, and I've got a few friends that I used to knock with down there, like I was telling you earlier. I used to go down the pubs in Tamworth, and I actually got a name for myself back then. Oh my God, he's the magic man, and I couldn't get away. So it almost, Tamworth's only a small town. Yeah, it was like, and even years later, I'd go around town, I thought, well, nobody will recognise me now, I'm dressed as a lady or what have you. You know, and I'd go around town, and they'd go, oh, there's the magic man. And I'd like, oh my God, they still bloody remember you. Got a packet of cards? Of course they have. You know, and I'd just show them a trick or whatever. Oh my God, fantastic. I haven't lost it, mate. But I stopped, obviously we grow up and we stopped doing them kind of things. But even in town, just a small little town of Tamworth, you get known, because I don't think anyone else was going around doing it. When I was going around doing it so early on, it might be different now. There might have been people that have gone down and jumped on the thing, and fair play to you if you have. It's good that people can spread the love through magic.
That's it.
Like I say, I can't stress enough that now is the time to learn a little skill.
Yeah,
you know, get yourself one or two little things. Yeah. Or if not, when it's all done and dusted, like I say, we'll have a little gathering every now and then. And and you know,
show some new stuff.
show you some of my tiny plunger.
Yeah.
And it, you know, your mum probably wouldn't be too pleased, but if there's any young ladies out there, get me sponge balls out. That was the joke that I was making to somebody. So funny, but yeah, I don't use them anymore.
No.
Although that was something. Again, one of my videos is the sponge ball routine.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah,
with the serious face. I mean, that was years
that was
ago.
a long time ago.
Because my brother Billy, he does his own podcasting, don't he?
Yeah. He's on next week, actually.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
Next Tuesday.
He does a lot of, you know, back then with them 2 tricks that I did.
Yeah.
He does my video editing for me. I mean, he's a blinking genius when it comes to.
Yeah. Well, he created my logo, PodJack logo.
Yeah. I mean, again, when we were younger, and he was into magic as well, we could sort of team up.
Yeah.
And come up with ideas, and you know, he would throw ideas at me, so he was almost generating me
to do the trick,
to perform. Yeah, and I would, okay, yeah, that's a good idea, and then I'd work on something or what have you, and then I'd bring it into my routine and do something with it or whatever. So it's good to have somebody else that's involved, and you know, he was quite passionate about it as well back then. To give you fresh ideas, or tell you, you know, give you a little pointer on this, that, and the other, which it's something I haven't got now. So that's why I have to refer to like literature or go into lectures, and you know, which is good for me as well. You know, so but yeah, he does the video editing, not on the ones that are on the Facebook and the recent ones on YouTube. It's just me, just me set of hands or what have you. But you know, just touching on his video editing ability, there is a video out there on my YouTube channel as well.
Oh yeah,
just a little bit of fun, you know. Like,
I thought there was another one coming as well. Is there not?
There is. There's the filming is. I mean, you know how long these films take, a year to film.
Yeah.
And this one's quite complicated. So I've finally got all the props I need.
Yeah.
And it is in the making, so you know, we can't rush these things. They need to be done properly. So that'll be sent over to Billy, and hopefully he'll edit that for me again, and we'll get, you know, another
video.
Just entertain people or what have you. It's quite funny actually, because the neighbour where we live in a very small village, like in the outskirts of Tamworth. We got no shop, no pub, no nothing. You know, we got sheep and geese out the back. You know. I mean, they're all right. I can entertain them. They're not too. They certainly don't pick faults at my work.
No.
Anyway, but like the neighbours, you know, they're all scattered around, and we've got to know the ones opposite through going out and doing the clapping on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
And we've been talking to her. We exchanged phone numbers the other day, and she sent us this thing about the COVID lingo that's going around, like some
words that people use.
Yeah, it's really funny. So I says, and one of them was the Quentin Quarantino. So amateur filmmakers that think they're funny. So I put back to the couple opposite. I says, we're guilty of the Quentin Quarantino film society. And I sent her that.
Oh, no.
She was wetting her pants with how funny it was. So
yeah, people need to watch that.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, funny, you don't necessarily have to like the music that's going on, but it's relevant to what's going on. That's why. Your mum picked the song, and I was a bit.
She did.
Yeah, Mum picked the song because she's a big fan of the band Queen.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit dubious at first, but my creative thinking, because I'm a very creative person. I mean, for one, you've got to be when you're thinking of magic tricks and different varieties. And again, with the building of camper vans.
I think that's where I get it from.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And it's just something that you can take so much pleasure in various things, you know, even if it's just decorating your house, being creative, and then of course creating this particular video that we've built put out there. And again, the next one's going to be quite creative as well. But yeah, it's another good thing to have under your belt, that if you've got that as a one of your pieces of your personality as being you find doing card tricks and performing magic a lot easier, because it's part of who you are anyway.
Yeah, creative, that's it, I've definitely took that, obviously writing the stories and doing this.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So.
I mean, going back years when you used to bring your own work home.
You used to do art homework.
I used to steal it from him.
Yeah, and do it, yes.
Jack, bug off, I want to do this bit of homework.
That's fine with me.
Creative collage.
I remember making the Noah's Ark, well, you were making a Noah's Ark collage of animals.
Then he'd take it to school, get top marks, get all the appreciation.
Never tell them.
The same for Charlie. He had a piece of literature he needed to work on for his English, what have you. And this weren't exam work, it was just some piece of homework and what have you. And I sat down with him, went through this story, and he was just like just so taken in by what I said. Right, now you need to let's get it all down on paper. And he, to this day, he still remembers exactly what went on. So
cool.
It's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's good to be creative. It's good. It's been a real good one. It's been a good talk.
Good. We've had plenty to say. Well, I have. Have you said anything? Or
I don't need to say a lot. Not when I'm sitting on the right on this side. If I ask a question, you can just talk. That's my job.
That's it. Hopefully now it'll be a little bit more peaceful for when your mum comes home, because I've spent most of my batteries talking.
I think over the 3 podcasts that I've done, I don't think I've probably said more than 100 words. That's between them all. So that's good. I'm not speaking much. I'm just sitting.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, that's what it's all about for you, isn't it? Letting people express their
That's what it is for. Yeah, you talk to me. I don't need to.
That's it. And like you say, I think you've got Bo coming on, have you?
Yeah, Bo on Monday night. That's a night time. That's 10 o'clock Monday night.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
That is going to be real good. And we've spoke a lot, and he said it's going to be some crazy stuff's going to be spoken about there.
I mean, obviously, you and me, we both sat down with him for hours.
Yeah.
He's done our work on our arms and what have you. And I did mention to him once that I'd done some magic, and I think while I was in a sit-in one day, I was going to do some tricks for him. But obviously, when someone's dragging a bloody needle down your arm, the last thing you want to be
showing him a trick.
Hold on a minute, mate. Just pick a card, right, and then he tattooed it up there on the top of me.
That's what you should do.
I didn't really want that one. Well, I did actually. He done that lucky 7 there, and I did do a trick that involved. Yeah, where you ended up with
number 7.
I remember if you ended up with a 7, or the next 7 cards, your card ended up being the 7th one. And I said, and that's what lucky 7 stands for. And some people are like, oh my God, he already had that tattooed on his arm. Yeah, really looking forward to listening to what he's got to say. I do follow him, on his Facebook, and he's got some very valid points.
Oh God, yeah. I've got some of his write-ups that he sent. I've got one of his write-ups that he sent to Russell Brand as well, so we'll probably get
really?
that. Yeah, he sent that. And then on Tuesday, I've got Billy. So Anxiety United.
Looking forward to that. I've been, again, this is something that, I mean, obviously he's my brother, so I've known him all his life. And we've been sort of interacting so much more during this lockdown, which is really great. Again, speaking to people, we always speak anyway, but a lot more now than
you have done in the past before.
With what's going on or whatever. Because you can't go and see them, you have to communicate via, video messenger or whatever. I'm really looking forward to.
That's kind of what me and Harry were talking about last week, about talking to people. So it's good that things like that happen. Then that's on Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. Then I have got another mental health bloke coming on who talks about anxiety. He talks about OCD. He's on Instagram. He's called Noisy Mind, and I don't even know. I don't know who. Never met him before. So they're coming on. So they're the next 3.
Well, you know, and again, you know, just touching off what we're on about with the magic and what have you, but I can't stress enough that mental health is something that seriously needs to be brought up in this day.
Yeah. That's why I've kind of gone out there to speak to this guy and wanting to talk about it, as well as Billy.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to see them on the other side. Obviously, Billy on the other side of the podcast, which is what I want to see.
Yeah. I've followed quite a bit of Billy's stuff just recently, and shared it myself, you know, and tried to put a little statement out there for people to see and watch it, because we've all been affected one way or another. It might not be you directly, it might be someone else, but that's you to touch on with them kind of people. But I'm really looking forward to the next few, and they've been great so far. Anyway,
yeah, man, I've been good. So just for us to finish, you throughout this have promoted everything other than my podcast. You've promoted your camper vans, your magic. So you need to tell the people to subscribe to PodJack95 in your own. So
look into the eyes, people. Look into the eyes, not around the eyes, but in the eyes. PodJack95. Get subscribing. I've just mentally, what's it in for him, Jack? Anyway, with that, with not around the eyes, but in the eyes. You know, what's that? PodJack95. Subscribe, like, share it with your friends. You're on Facebook as well.
Yeah, and Instagram.
Yeah, he's on Instagram as well. Just have a look. It's great. Share it with your friends. You'll love it. And you'll love it even more now, because I've just been on.
I knew that was coming.
But look forward to the next few ones as well. So, you know, if you don't like what you've already seen,
you will,
which you will, you'll love what's coming as well. I mean, I might come on. I'll come on again as something else.
Yeah, dress up as someone else.
I love dressing up.
Yeah, he does. So, wicked. Thank you very much.
All right, and people.
Been a pleasure.
Stay safe.
See you soon.
See you soon. Here you are, Rob. Here's one especially for you. Just show you the different cards we have here, yeah? Now, if we cut through the deck, say, around about there, that'll do. And let's have a look at the card that we've been left with on the top. King of Clubs. Okay? Now, what happens is, if I cut that king into the deck, with the snap of the fingers, it jumps straight back to the top, just like that. Did you like that? Hey? Did you like that? And what I'll do is I'll put that down, cut the deck again, give the snap of the fingers, and what should jump to the top of the deck? But it is the king every time, and just to prove, there. We'll go through the deck, and just to show you that the king was always in there. Alright, mate? Have a nice day.